Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. In case you haven't done this before with us, you're gonna need your own copy of Oshi no Ko, and I will be doing like a 3, 2, 1 play. Any pre-episode, pre-show thoughts? I know that I do. I know that you were looking up a lot of articles talking about authors who really did not like the live action or anime adaptations. I mean, I had one thought before we start, something I wish I had thought of earlier, which is, you know how we were discussing last time how inner monologues are really hard to adapt, and sometimes you just have to accept that you won't ever be able to replicate that kind of very text-heavy sort of content. Mm-hmm. I thought of a way that adaptations make up for that lack of inner monologue, which is music. Music can replace some of the emotion, and actually is one of those things that can add to an adaptation if you really can't replicate everything from the original source material. And a prime example that I thought of was actually in Harry Potter. So in sort of the final showdown, there's no spoilers because everyone knows what happens at this point. In the final showdown between Harry and Voldemort, so in the books, obviously you get the inner thoughts of Harry and all of the strain and the stress and all of the memories of his past loved ones that he's fighting for in the book. But of course, on the movie screen, you can't actually translate that adequately. And so what they did was just use music to heighten the tension, and obviously like camera shots and stuff, but also because wand fighting or dueling with wands actually looks really stupid without that music. It's like, if you look up, there's a couple of YouTube clips where someone's just stripped all of the music out from the wand fights, and it looks like the most ridiculous and most dumbest thing ever. So I was like, yeah, music makes up a lot of that missing, inner monologue or inner turmoil, as nothing seemingly is really going on, and you can't really translate that into live action. Yeah, so music.
Yeah.
Anyway, your pre-show thoughts before we start?
The other thing that I thought about is actually you know how we were talking about converting a lot of text is hard, like especially like internal monologue, and then we kind of off-screen talked about Kaguya-sama, which also has a lot of text, but if you read the manga, there's not a lot of animation. Like there's not, like, it's actually mostly just people talking. Like it's a more dialogue-heavy show with minimal action, so I think what enhanced the series, the anime, was actually the animators or the storyboard artist or the director, whoever did the storyboarding, had a vision and knew how to enhance the source material. Like they adapted Kaguya-sama so well because they took the source material and then like basically brought it up to 11. It was just like, we're gonna smash this out of the park. And I think there's another show, Attack on Titan, very similar in terms of the manga art was not very specific, if I were to say. It's I think when the manga art is not very detailed or not very precise, it gives the adapters a bit more leeway to fill in the gaps. And I think that's what the animators did for Kaguya-sama and Attack on Titan, is that they, instead of just going, oh, we're going one by one according to the manga, they actually just went, alright, this is an anime. How do we make this flow? What can we do with these spacings, with this gap, to like really make it so that you won't experience this unless you watch the anime. If you read the manga, it will just be a pic image and text, whereas if you watch the anime, it will be different. So I thought that was interesting.
So there are ways around like adaptation struggles.
It really depends on a specific type of series, because most series are more action and dialogue heavy or internal monologue heavy, which that's the hard part.
I kind of like the foghorn.
Sure?
We're back. I like it because I never actually got to hear it.
Yeah, well, I don't like the foghorn.
You guys just talking about harmony and foghorns, and I was like, could start a whole orchestra with this.
Everyone just has to make a note, we can harmonize.
Okay, welcome back a second time, guys.
Take two.
Take two. Don't worry, we're editing all of this up. None of this will make it into the public eye.
Foghorn, the chat, and then we'll jump straight into the video.
I am very much looking forward to that meek author dressing down all the directors. Pulling out a samurai sword and be like, do it right.
Change everything. I'm just trying to think if there's like a real life equivalent of a show that was so adapted so poorly that if the author had the chance to come in, would be like, change everything. Maybe Avatar. The first Avatar movie would be like
Avatar, the last Airbender Avatar?
Yeah. The Shyamalan. You watched it, didn't you?
We did. We actually watched it on the server.
Yeah. Did you feel like that would have been the writer looks at it and go, oh my god, what is this?
Wouldn't even look at it. They'd just like cover their eyes, maybe. I don't know. Who knows? We'll never know.
We'll never know behind the scenes things.
Yeah.
If anyone has a documentary on adapting and writing processes behind the screen, that would be great. Send it to us. Oh, Tommy made it.
Hello, man. You're so smart. You skipped all the scuff. Or not smart. Maybe the scuff is the true entertainment of the night. All right. Yeah. If everyone's ready, I think we should just do the countdown. Let's play this in 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, straight into the OP.
Mm-hmm. That baseline is very ominous. I have to do a proper analysis of this someday.
Ooh, that'll be cool. Oh, you should do it. I love that shot. The fact that they take their mask off. Why is it 3 hands? Like, who is the third hand? Right? Like, you'd think it would be 2 hands, but there's 3. Oh, see, that's 2, but the previous shot had 3.
I don't know. The devil's hand.
Did you see Akane's face? It was only there for a split second. It's so ominous when I came up and that the tone just went down that way. Yeah.
It's very cute music in the background.
Until
it's going to turn ominous soon.
Rewind?
Oh, interesting.
Flashback?
Or just earlier in the day.
Yeah.
Reminds you of Life is Strange. Maybe someone's trying to save someone from getting murdered. The director, maybe.
Oh, this is what Akane was talking about, being like, oh, you two came together. He's grown. He's taking criticisms.
What does he mean he's in charge of the whole project?
I'm assuming like a producer, maybe?
So young. Maybe he just looks young.
Maybe. Asians.
Akane! I don't have a bias. No.
Wow.
Whoa. It's the sloppy looking ones that are dangerous.
It's like hidden talent.
Akane, stay away.
I mean, don't you enjoy shipping wars?
No, I don't. I just don't want her to be hurt.
Fair. She's so wholesome.
I know, he doesn't deserve her.
Kana.
Mm-hmm. Knives Out.
Redemption. He's going through his redemption arc.
He's trying.
Is she gonna be like, don't have regrets?
Or lower your expectations.
Yeah.
I mean, her script is like her baby.
Oh, very good, very good. She'll floss as well.
After every meal.
Yeah. Ideal. That's the ideal. Does she not have assistants?
Narrator, there was no give and take.
Efficiency.
Does that really work? I question that method.
Well,
don't they get caught? I don't know.
if you're ambidextrous, that might work.
Sure.
Tommy. Is that optimal technique? Oh my god. He's like distraught.
Are her eyes meant to be cat-like or a single line of a star? Whoa.
Whoa.
Murder eyes. Murder cat eyes.
Oh, this is like my characters are my baby.
What? So you can change the movement of the characters, but not the characters themselves.
Mm.
But obviously she can't do it herself because she doesn't have the skills to write a script that's adapted for the sort of medium.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is worse that he's a fan.
Mm.
Hmm.
I mean, that's fair. I do that at work. It's just like, objective thoughts, just objective stuff. No feelings. Don't put that in.
Yep.
Damn, this game on telephone.
She's like, why can't you all understand my soul?
Mm.
At least she's slapping the book, the script.
Oof.
Whoa. She loaded.
That's so sad.
Being squeezed from all sides.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised how big of a pull the original manga author has. Or maybe I shouldn't be surprised. We talked about how it is in Japan last time.
Yeah. Like, you have to imagine that this is like the biggest manga in this world, kind of thing.
Mm.
Oh.
I mean, I guess I still get paid. She's like, what a potato take. Clearly has not been to a proper theatre stage play. So rude. I'm excited.
Music's ramping up. Oh wait, is that it? Wait.
Oh, what? No!
Wait.
I wanted to see the stage play.
Already?
Yeah. I was like, this is very like rock for a theatre stage play, and then I was like, oh no, that's the ED.
I didn't even realize time just flew.
I mean, I don't know. Part of it felt very long because we just had to be dragged through the scriptwriter's pain, and I felt that part was very sad and long.
But the rest just flew. But they actually, because I did reread the manga, like just the opening part. They kind of swapped the so they swapped things around so that the first episode got into their like, you know, more of the play and more of the rehearsal, and ending on the okay, script needs to be changed. But the manga kind of like, you know, Aqua and kind coming in, the introduction, the talking about, you know, the play, the adaptation of Sweet Today, that was actually before episode 1, if that makes sense. So they actually swapped it around a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, which I think that was a good idea because you want episode 1 to be a banger because that's what gets people to stay, right? Most people don't have the attention span anymore to be like, oh, we'll wait for it to get good. No one wants to wait for that anymore. So starting with a bang makes more sense.
Yeah. I agree with Laddie. I feel episode 1, in terms of the expository stuff, it had a lot more flourished scenes and a lot more movement and color and much more dramatic presentation of the quote unquote boring technical stuff that they explained to us about how stage plays work. But it was still fairly enjoyable because I just find the whole process of how it gets from the original manga author all the way down the line to the scriptwriter interesting. But yeah, definitely much less showy than episode 1. But as you said, they have to draw people in with ep 1. So I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I actually found, as much as I really, really enjoyed episode 1 and how it visually, creatively shown what they were trying to do, I actually prefer episode 2's content because that's what I'm here for. I'm here for the behind the scenes, giving me a different perspective, because obviously most people have been in the audience seat being like, oh my god, why is that adaptation so bad? Like, what the hell's wrong with the scriptwriter? Or what the hell's wrong with these, you know, whoever is producing this adaptation? But I enjoy this kind of episode where it shows a different perspective, being like, okay, this is what generally happens. There's a game of telephone because there's an author and there's like 5 people in between the author and the scriptwriter. Things get lost in translation. They are all trying their best, but the end result may not be what people wanted. So, and it's unfortunate.
You'd think a straightforward solution would be for the author to sit down with the script writer. I mean, that's just what it looks like, but obviously in real life, it doesn't work that way. Like it inevitably has to go through all those different people because I don't know.
I mean, that's like the smartest choice, right? Is just to get them to sit in a room and go, all right, iron this out. Get this sorted.
Yeah, I don't know. It really depends on... Sometimes it's just impossible for whatever reason to get the original author in the same room as the scriptwriters who will ultimately be responsible for making all the big decisions about the dialogue and all of that. So...
To be fair, though, they kind of hinted that the Sweet Today author is a monthly manga artist, whereas she is a weekly manga artist. And so the issue with weekly manga artists is that it is really, really tiresome because you have to pump out like 16 to 18 pages of artwork every single week. And it's not just drawing. You have to figure out where your story is going, what the dialogue would be, and also drawing it out, passing it to your assistants, and then making sure that they're doing the right thing. And then it gets finalized and then it gets published. But every step of that happens within that 1 week, right? Obviously, they'll have drafts for storyboarding and what they plan to do next. But the action, you know, it's, and sure, they'll probably have a little bit of backlog, maybe. I'm not sure if they actually have backlog. That I'm not too sure. They probably should. But yeah, it's still that weekly turnover and it's really intense.
It's crazy. Yeah.
And so I can see that, you know, oh my god, she is like the hottest, you know, manga author right now. She needs to keep drawing. She doesn't have time to deal with this project. And so they probably just thought, she's too busy. Let's not bother her.
What did you guys think? Love the ED, need the full ED song. Yeah, I feel like we're all united on the fact that the ED is better. What, did we lose
Venetia
Strife?
says,
Oh no.
Venetia said, I felt like this episode was less of an anime episode and more like a video class. So good you couldn't
Video
turn your
class.
eye from. I mean, it's true. I thoroughly enjoyed it when they start explaining all the things. I was like, oh yes, this is the content I want.
This, I could imagine. It really depends on the kind of person you are, right? I could see how people would be like, oh, there's nothing happening. They're just explaining to us how it all works. But yeah, I also enjoy it's informative. You're right, an informative video, and that's okay as well. Doesn't have to be all the drama.
I listened to your analysis, so
analysis.
I listened to your very long form video analysis. So...
Oh, you mean my, I wouldn't even call them analysis, 45-minute rants on a 3-minute song. I know.
So,
yeah, true. I guess we're all here because we're that kind of person. Yeah. Yeah. Although there was, it wasn't really dramatic when the script, I've liked that we got the scriptwriter's perspective at the end, of course, after he was fired, and him just talking about how he put his heart and soul into it and he still failed. I just really felt that. And he's such a good guy, such a good boy, deserved better. But yeah, just is how it is. Like the blame, when it's been through that like chaotic tangle of communication lines, the blame never gets put on the right person. Not that there's any one person you can blame, but it always, I don't know, it just tends to fall on the wrong person or it doesn't get evenly distributed. Yeah, so that was sad. Oshinoko equals RC analysis videos. Kinda.
I mean, yeah. Some parts of it. Some
did
parts
we
of it really deep dive into behind the
did
scenes.
We get as many expository bits in season 1? I'm trying to remember. I don't
there were not as much, but there were parts of it. So, for example, the Sweet Today part was talking about how the producer's main goal was to promote the models. So they will do the editing. They will make sure that, hey, the models is the main feature. Doesn't matter how you adapt it. They just want to promote the models. So that's kind of the behind the scenes things. Yeah. And then the reality TV love, like romance series, same thing as well. As like they kind of go into the power of editing, right? Making certain people appear a certain way because of how they edit. And then going into the cyberbullying, that kind of aspect too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's bits, but I think this arc definitely jumps further.
Yeah, I guess because in season 1 they had to set up the whole, reincarnation situation and then all of that stuff. So it's more dramatic.
And setting up the characters. I think this arc is kind of like, all right, most of the characters and there's like a few new characters here and there, but you know them, so we're going to just jump in quick.
Yeah.
The baby, this is such an artist thing. Not me, because I don't feel, I mean, maybe sometimes.
The baby.
But yeah, like when you create an original character, they are like your baby because you created it, right? And so artists tend to have a very strong attachment to these characters because you literally created them. And so it can really make you pissed off if someone else takes your character and then make them out of character. And you're just like, but why? Why is it like this? That you just like made my baby not my baby anymore. And like you just took the image of what I created and turned them into someone else is what it feels like.
Have you seen this through, because you're an art person, you've been in art groups before and like role playing art groups and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you see that kind of thing happening even on that level where people create characters and then
yes, I mean, I haven't personally seen, but it is one of those things that you hear about. And if you're in role play groups, they will try to like encourage people to not write on someone else's behalf unless they consent.
Yeah, of course.
But I definitely have seen people be like, these characters are my baby. Don't you dare.
It's
don't
totally
you dare
understandable. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think not just the artist though, even the audience can probably, especially if you know the source material, you read, for example, this case, you read the manga and you love these characters, right? Maybe you have a favorite character, maybe Akane's character, the one that she plays, is your favorite character. And then so when you go watch a play and it's basically not that character
Trash.
anymore. Yeah, it's just like, what did you do to her? This is not the same person.
It's like Daenerys all over again.
Oh my god.
Game of Thrones.
Shall we talk about Game of Thrones then?
Sure. But before they do it, Tommy's like feels the same way about D&D. Yeah, D&D role play, anything that involves you investing part of yourself into a character. If they get messed up or messed with in any way, it will lead to butthurt feelings, which is understandable. Latty, I think it's interesting how Oshinoko always picks a character to deliver the exposition either in their head or to someone. So it always comes with some level of perspective attached. And interesting how much they chose Sweet Today's author for it here, the mentor. It was funny, like seeing the mentor being like, oh no. It's not like she can control or not control, because it's, what am I trying to say? She can see her mentee kind of walking into a disaster, right, and she can't really stop her because she knows what she's like. And just from a more seasoned veteran, obviously, in the industry, to someone for whom this is their first time working with an adaptation team.
I thought it was great to use her as a character to explain it, because we've seen one side of the adaptation where she had no control. She didn't she just compromised fully and kind of went, all right, this is their project, this is what they want to do, I can't do anything about it, and so I let it be. And then so it's great to use her as a one to explain, and then have her mentee as a contrast of the other extreme, to be like, this is someone that wants to be in full control, and then we've already seen someone that had no control.
Right.
So that
oh my gosh, that part where she threatened to pull the rights and then was like, I don't care if you guys have to pay like contract damages. That was crazy. I mean, I don't know how realistic such a threat could be made in that kind of industry, but yeah.
It was lethal. It was just like, well, the company has to pay. She's not even like, I'm paying it. It's like, no, the company's paying this.
But yes, Game of Thrones. I don't know. Do we want to walk into that hellhole or? I mean, there's not much. Everyone knows it was a shit show. From after season 5 onwards, yes. Because for a very good reason, because they had no more books to go off of, and they apparently did not heed George R. Martin's directions for the following script. Again, it's just an in real life example of the mismatch that can happen between the original author and the people who have to adapt it. So George R. R. Martin supposedly wanted at least 10 seasons for Game of Thrones, which I could see as being problematic as well, because it's just highly unlikely that you're going to keep around that large of a cast for that long of a shooting period. And so obviously changes would have to be made. But the final adaptation that ended up being shot was an absolute dumpster fire, I think, was the general sense.
But I feel like writers could have different skill sets and different, strong points. And I feel like what the scriptwriter for Game of Thrones is that they are great at adapting source material that's already written, right? It's like they're taking something that's already written and then converting that into a visual live action. But the moment they lost the, source material, it's like someone could be good at translating, but they're not good at writing, like creating something out of thin air. And that's pretty much what they had to do from season 5 onwards, because from what we've read is that they don't follow what Martin wanted, and they have to fill in all the blanks, right? If you only get given a template, you're the one filling in the flesh. But if your skill set is not good at doing this thing, which is filling in the space, what do you like? That's how we get Game of Thrones.
It's interesting. Okay, so Laddie brings up the point that George R. R. Martin is not great at ending things, which is from what I've read, because I've not actually read the books, but I've done a lot of dumpster diving into Game of Thrones Reddit threads, and that does seem to be the case. I think it was just the crime, or maybe crime is too strong of a word. Where the adaptation went wrong was that, yes, they tied everything together, but they did it at the expense of almost every single major character in the show. So forcing almost all the characters to do things that were totally out of character, or that hadn't been set up in previous seasons, or that were in direct contrast or contradiction to what their characters had been presented as standing for. So I guess that was in Oshinoko too, like just in the episode that we watched, you have like the original author stabbing the script and being like, this character would never do or say things like that. So it was that, but on a much grander scale, because almost every character ended up like that for the end of Game of Thrones. And I'm actually very impressed that quite a few of you haven't seen Game of Thrones. I think that's a huge achievement, because there was a period of time where you just couldn't escape it. And I was like, fine, I'll just watch it. And who knows if that was a good life choice.
I mean, if you stopped at season 4, probably. Afterwards, it's just every smart character became dumb. And you're just like, why are they dumb? This is so dumb. What happened to you? And then you actually dive deeper, and it's like, oh, they ran out of source material. That's why. But I was gonna go on the tangent of, I remember reading that there's 2 types of writers. The ones that are more plot driven, so they have a general plot that they want to hit, like plot points that they want to hit, and then weave the characters in between but hit those plot points. And then there's the other type, which is, I have created these characters and these are how they would, go about the day. And then basically throw them in the world and have conflicts naturally. And that's what I've read that. Like Martin is kind of more that way, where he has these characters, he knows these characters well. And so things just play out how he would see these characters play out. So things don't get resolved because he's just like, well, if these characters don't resolve them, then that's really
the way it is.
Problem. That's just how it is, because the characters are just in that position at that time, and that's how they will react. And which is so hard for someone who is, a scriptwriter for an adaptation of this, being like, I don't know, I'm not you. I don't know how these characters are going to be. Someone else watched it literally just to talk to my friends about it.
I feel like that was like 90% of people. Okay, with George R. R. Martin, if we're gonna probably wrap this up, the last episode of the last season aired. Big shit shows, a lot of criticism for it, but George R. R. Martin, he kind of stayed quiet for quite a bit after that, which was a smart move. Like, he didn't come out and criticize the ending. But eventually came up, because I think he gave, a couple of interviews a couple of months later and was like, yes, actually, I had very different plans for the ending, and low-key hated it. He didn't use those words, but you could imply from the interview that that's what he thought. But what was very important, I think, was that he came out against all the vitriol and the hate and the personal attacks that occurred against the directors and the screenwriters and even some of the actors, which was really dumb because obviously actors have probably the least say in any of this. And he was quite adamant about calling out the toxic behaviors of fans who were probably way too invested in the show and just couldn't handle how Game of Thrones ended. So there's always that line, you know. Yeah, but online hate, like that's the nature of the beast, I guess. Yeah.
I guess we can link this back to Oshinoko, how in the end, like this series, right, is showing behind the scenes, but also showing that, hey, they're still people. The scriptwriter is still a person. That doesn't mean, and we have the whole Akane arc, right? It's like, they're still people. We shouldn't be throwing out hate to these people because you didn't like the thing that they did. That's not right. Best season ever. Emilia Clarke. I remember that clip.
Is there anything, did you want to talk about any of the articles that you found about adaptations or
sexy Tanaka-San?
Yes, can you give a summary? I remember that was just this year, right?
That was this year.
That happened. Because I remember my friend who's very much into, you know, the manga world told me about it when it happened. So I know roughly what was it about? It was about, but do you want to give like a quick overview of the issue?
So basically, this is a josei manga artist, basically like more mature female adult manga artist, and so she was releasing the manga, and before the manga's conclusion, there was a they greenlit the live action adaptation really, really quickly as well. I think usually you have a longer period of, you know, going through is this going to be greenlit process, but I think it was like, it was greenlit really quickly and she has not finished her manga yet, but her condition for greenlighting them doing the live action is actually you need to be faithful to the manga. You need to make sure that the characters are faithful, right, to what I've written. You don't just like randomly change things, and if you are changing things, you need to tell me. But then when the live action was getting done, she found out that actually they did change a lot of things. And so she got big mad that it got changed. And I think long story short was that kind of similar to Oshinoko, where she ended up writing the last episode, the last 2 episodes. I can't remember
she did
the
it
exact
herself.
Details. She did it herself because they wrote a completely different conclusion and it didn't fit what she thinks a character would have done. And so she wrote it. So a lot of the audience were like, well, that was weird. It took a drastic turn. That was weird. And I think people were complaining about it, being like, what's going on with the script? And so the scriptwriter actually came out on Twitter to be like, actually, I didn't write those last 2 episodes. It's not my fault. I didn't do this. And so the author came out to defend herself, to be like, hey, this is why I had to take over. But then people started attacking the scriptwriters because the author came out to be like, hey, actually, you know, it's because of this and that's why I did this. And obviously it blew up, became such a big thing, and she apologized for it. She didn't intend for people to go and attack the scriptwriters. And then she eventually took her own life, which was extremely depressing.
Yeah, and she's young, right? Like quite young.
Yeah. So it sparked a big debacle about adaptation, and kind of similar to Oshinoko in terms of like, well, I think afterwards the scriptwriter came out being like, I didn't know about these conditions that were set, right? So no one has relayed
that
her
chain of
condition.
communication
Yeah.
again. It just gets lost.
And it's sad because Oshinoko was actually written before this event and this still happened. So how many
God.
more of this has happened
Yeah.
behind the scenes? Obviously, this came to light because of the tragic event. But if this didn't come to light, how many more series had to suffer through this?
Yeah.
She's in her 50. That's still young.
Yeah. Just getting started.
Like,
Sad.
they
Yeah,
should
sad.
just change policies to be like, maybe the scriptwriter and the author should just sit in a room.
I did do a quick skim of that article, and there's something in the legislation in Japan that protects the author's moral rights to a work in terms of them having final, or maybe not final, but a big part in approving the final product. But
consent. They need consent.
Right. So I don't know how the legalities fall on that, but yeah.
I guess that's why in Oshinoko the author could be like, nope, I'm not agreeing to this. And then they can't do anything because there's actually a law that goes, well, the author did not agree.
No name. That makes me wonder about the fan fiction scene in Japan. Fan fiction. That's a whole other kettle of fish. I mean, not other kettle of fish, because it is related.
But fan fiction isn't an official, like, adaptation requires more, like, you know, publishers with other companies and collaborating, right? It's an official, owning the rights. Whereas fan fiction is kind of just, it's murky ground where you never actually interact with the official author to go, can I use your characters to draw them in this fan fiction? No one cares. Somehow no one seems to care.
I know. I feel like there have been some interesting court cases around fanfics. I don't know. I'll have to make a note to do some research.
I didn't know there were court cases about fan fiction.
No, I'm thinking about the omegaverse. But I don't think we want to go into the omegaverse tonight.
Still have not finished
because it's like, oh god, how many of you know about the omegaverse? Someone's seen the Lindsay Ellis video.
Yeah, that's the video. I tried and I keep falling asleep within the first 10 minutes. Not saying
I cannot believe you fall asleep to Lindsay Ellis.
I have listened to her other videos and they're great, but I keep listening to her just when I was about to sleep and I just fall asleep.
Yeah, so the omega, I mean, that's definitely a tangent, but the legal issue arises when you're taking a world or a fantastical setting that's not exactly owned by anyone. It kind of just grew up somewhere, and you're making stories set in that world. And so, like, it's like, who can anyone ever really own the rights to something like the Omegaverse, which is a world in and of itself that no one really created under their own name? Or
is it a genre?
I don't know.
Is it like isekai?
Most people would see it as a genre, and so you can't own things like a genre. Or but there was a court case, the one that Lindsay Ellis goes deep into, of an author, an Omegaverse author, who tried to claim rights to this whole universe. So yeah, and it dragged on. I don't know how long it dragged on for, but yeah, a lot of people got burnt. So, but anyway, that's something different.
That reminds me of the I think it was like a clothing store that tried to name it. I don't know if it's a clothing. It's some store named themselves Kimono and tried to like copyright the word. It was just like
I'm so not surprised. The most ridiculous copyright cases get brought.
Oh, it was Kim Kardashian. They tried to trademark Himono. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's weird. I always thought Kim
remember reading, it's so
Kardashian
dumb.
was smart. I mean, just a brilliant businesswoman, but maybe it was just a misstep on her part. I don't know. I actually have a very high view of Kim Kardashian. You know,
I know
all
nothing
jokes
about
aside.
her.
She's worth
I
a
know
lot of
nothing
money.
other than the TV show that's apparently about her family and
The Kardashians.
the Kardashians and a lot of fillers in their body is the impression I got.
Oh man, how do we get onto the
Jenny Lewis,
Kardashians?
Because
I don't know. We're so far from Oshi.com.
Trademark.
Right.
That shouldn't
Yes.
be trademarked or copyright.
Anything else?
No, I just think they did really well.
Yeah. I'm just looking forward to Aqua getting schooled by Akane. Can't believe what he said about theatre stage plays.
It's like, it's so
I mean, I'm not a
childish.
theatre nerd, but even I was insulted. So, yeah.
It's just a book person, probably. It's like, theatre. Takes too long. If I can't edit it, it's too long. I got too edgy, yeah.
Yeah, maybe we'll just call it a night. Thank you guys for just putting up with all of the initial scuffery at the start. We'll make sure that we'll get all that out of the way next time, although hopefully things won't be broken next time.
Oh, the episode name is actually called Game of Telephone.
Game of Thrones.
No,
Game of
telephone.
GOT. I don't know. I feel like that was on purpose. Yeah.
It's referencing something.
Yes. I too am
But
also
yes.
very happy to see Akane just you know, educating people.
Thriving. She's
Yes,
thriving. in this world.
glowing with all that knowledge, all that theatre knowledge. Anything else, Show?
I feel like we probably discussed a lot more in episode 1 because we had so much like, oh my god, this series, oh my god, that series, and now it's like, I don't think we have anything else, any other
I'm
series to
sure
comment
we
on.
could find more adaptation series. I don't know. We were just about to go into Atla, the last Airbender,
True.
but
True,
I don't think
okay.
we went into that.
No, we didn't. All right, maybe we should assign a different series to talk about after each Oshinoko episode.
One series per episode. Otherwise, it's going to be like
episode.
3-hour long discussion. Yeah.
Should we start with Harry Potter next time?
No, this series is not long enough for a Harry Potter discussion. We need like a 100-episode series before we start talking about Harry Potter. Maybe next time we can talk about Atla.
Yeah.
But although
also
we still
React.
haven't React, we still haven't finished. Well, I still haven't finished the Netflix adaptation. Actually, the live action adaptation, only up to episode 3. So, and then just stopped a couple of months ago.
Yeah, true. We could do a watch along for Netflix Atla.
Yeah.
That could be another thing to add onto the list.
Yeah.
I was about to say you should do a reaction to the OP and the ED.
A reaction or an analysis? I can just do a reaction where I'm like,
both.
yay, wow, so good.
No. Okay. You know what I mean. Analysis.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some interesting baselines in the OP, even though the ED is still closer to my heart. And I think people here would agree with me. But there's something sinister in the baseline that I haven't quite picked out yet. And I'm 100% it's intentional. So yeah, it would be interesting to do a proper analysis of the OP.
I'm more interested in if we were to do this. I mean, you'll be doing this, but if I were to do this, I'm more interested in like frame by frame shot of the opening. I don't know how much you caught in the opening. I was like, they shoved so much in this opening. It is actually insane. Like,
no, totally.
just flew. And I
feel like you would catch more of what's actually happening on screen because when I watch the OP, I'm just kind of more really honed in on the music. So I'm very bad with visuals.
No, whereas I'm very bad with audio because I was just like, oh my god, my brain was filled with just a visual. I have no idea what the opening sounds like because my brain was just like,
what?
Oh my god, these visuals are just
okay. Well, that's why we're doing this. Yeah, and that's why we have a bunch of people here so people can notice different things. Yeah, that's a good thing about like live watch alongs. Yeah,
true.
Okay, thank you guys again so much for watching this episode with us, and we will see you for episode 3 next time.
Bye.
Bye.